Hello everyone, welcome to the Simperion IAS YouTube channel. Today in this video we'll discuss the skeleton of the chapter Vulnerable Sections and Social Justice. Uh, one of the subtopics that is discussed usually under the vulnerable section, that is women. We have already made a video on that. You can go and watch that video on our YouTube channel. uh, Vulnerable sections and social justice. This will cover the GS1 society and GS2 social justice. Initially, we'll discuss the skeleton. Initially, we have started with the definition of vulnerable sections and we have given examples of vulnerable sections. Scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, backward classes, women, children, elderly, person with disability, religious minorities, EWS, LGBTQ+. And also, I think we will discuss, while covering this topic, we have also discussed informal workers as well. We have the people working in the informal sector, we have discussed that as well. So it will be a two-part series video on vulnerable sections. Already we have covered women. Remaining topic we will cover in the next two videos. Before that, UPSC 2024 mains is already over, and if you go through the GS papers from GS1 to GS4, you will find the many topics. Out of the 79 questions in the GS, many questions are directly repeated from PYQs and they appear from same themes. Today, let me discuss this by giving an example. If you take economy, there are topics like infrastructure, there are topics like employment, there are topic of inclusive growth, there are topic like land reforms, inflation, etc. But if you go through the PYQs, if you draw a chart for last 44, now including this last 44-year PYQ, last 10 years PYQ and last 5 years PYQ, if you draw a chart, you will figure out UPSC is heavily fixated, or it focuses on few areas like inclusive growth, land reforms, maybe inflation, sometime infrastructure. There are out of say 150 themes in the UPSC, in the mains, maybe 50-60 themes they are repeated more often than others. We are not at all saying that out of 150 themes some of the topics are not important. All 150 are important, but maybe one third of that or 30-40% of that are more often asked by the UPSC, like the inclusive growth, like land reforms, maybe topic of women. In the GS2, the topic of citizen charter, the topic of role of civil services in democracy, the urban floods. If you take a topic of urban floods, the topic related to cyclones, these topics are very most often asked by the UPSC. So by concentrating on these topics, you can increase your marks. By concentrating on these topics, you will increase your mark. Even the Chola architecture, I think it's 5th or 6th time UPSC is asking that question. At least 3 or 4 times they have asked in this decade, and I mean in the last 10 years and before that. There is another topic even in the art and culture, Gandhara art. Even that was asked many times. The questions related to the question related to the Quit India movement, related topics, at least they have asked 4 to 5 times. The topic related to even the twisters, though the topic of twister is a bit difficult question, they had asked in the past the cyclones in the Gulf of Mexico. That is a very specific question. They have asked this topic. See, after figuring out important areas, see, all 150 themes mentioned in the UPSC syllabus from GS1 to GS4 all are important, 100 or 150 themes. Out of that, 30-40% of the themes are more important than others. They are most often asked. And also it is important to understand, the UPSC's current area of focus. If we take a topic like marriage, normally there is a definition, a type of marriage, features, and the current focus is structural and functional changes, and is marriage losing its relevance as a sacred institution, or is marriage still sacrament? See, if we go to the sociology optional, this question is asked many times: is marriage sacred, marriage as a sacrament, etc., and structural functional changes. So it is important to even know the current area of focus for the UPSC. Say if we take the caste, the recent area of focus, you'll figure out by going through that particular optional. In the caste, the current area of focus is caste relevant? What are the factors that are leading to weakness of caste? Mainly the structural and functional changes that is happening in the caste in the recent times. That is the area of focus for UPSC. So it is difficult for the aspirant to cover all this. So we will be covering, Simperion IAS will be covering all these important topics. We will be releasing a chart. We will be releasing a chart from GS1 to GS4. We will be releasing a chart where we will have a topic. The topic name will be, say, for example, a temple architecture. Temple architecture, in that is Nagara, Vesara, and Dravida. How many times UPSC asked in the last 43 years? In the last 5 or 10 years. So you will figure out there are few topics which are more important than others. Please focus on that and understand the current trend in that topic, rather than simply taking a crap value added material of any institute and studying them like 10, 20, 30 pages for a topic. So it's important to restrict your preparation based on the PYQ. This is the importance of PYQ. PYQ will help you to focus on the area that are still relevant with respect to the UPSC. So there is no innovation or invention by the institutes. Institutes or the coaching institute need to follow the current trend of the UPSC. We are doing that. So we have covered few topics, making chart in the few days, in the few upcoming days, maybe a few weeks, in 1 or 2 weeks, we'll release that chart showing the importance of a topic with respect to UPSC. So let's continue with the topic. Why welfare schemes are needed for upliftment of vulnerable sections? What is the need of uh, like schemes for the upliftment of vulnerable sections? There is poverty, lack of education, improve healthcare, etc. Next, limitation of social welfare schemes for the vulnerable sections. What are the limitations with respect to these social sector schemes that are made for the upliftment of vulnerable sections? Next, how can we overcome the limitations of the welfare schemes for the vulnerable sections? How to overcome them? Next, this is another topic of PYQ. Do government schemes meant for upliftment of vulnerable and backward lead to the exclusion in establishing businesses in the urban economies? So this is another PYQ question. Next is important of managing inflation and unemployment along with the welfare schemes for upliftment of vulnerable sections. So what is the importance of, see, inflation erodes the savings, uh, unemployment, there is an extreme high unemployment, again leads to poverty, etc. Low wage growth, labor participation will drop, raising the food cost with inflation. So what is the important? Not only along with providing the welfare schemes, it is also necessary to provide jobs for sustainable development, for the long-term development, and also handle inflation. So this is again another PYQ question. Next, development and welfare schemes for vulnerable sections are discriminatory in nature. Again a PYQ question. Sometimes the vulnerable, the schemes meant for development of and welfare of vulnerable sections themselves are discriminatory in nature. Again we have covered that. Again we have covered another important topic of social justice. We have covered a definition of social justice and also 5 principles of social justice. Next, we have covered what is the need of social justice in India. We have covered with the 5 topics. What is the need of social justice in India? Next, challenges in achieving the social justice in India. What are challenges in achieving the social justice? See, all topics we have covered 5 to 6 points. You can go through them. The points are very general. What is necessary to get better marks is if you can add a facts, examples, committee reports, some quoting some other reports like World Bank, IMF, etc. You will get more marks. Next, government steps already taken for social justice like a reservation, MG Narega, right to education, scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, Prevention of Atrocity Act, Food Security Act, etc. Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. Next, what are the way forward for achieving the social justice in India? We are given 3 points. Next, we have started covering first topic in the vulnerable section, that is scheduled caste. We are given few points related to that, like the constitutional, like Article 361, Government of India Act 1935. That's the first time they defined a scheduled caste, etc. Few history, few background, you can say, not the history, few background of a topic, so scheduled caste. Next, we have provided few data points related to the scheduled caste. Next, we are given the constitutional provisions that are related to the scheduled caste. Next, the legal provisions that are for the welfare of scheduled caste, that is prevention of atrocities, protection of civil rights, prohibition of employment as a manual scavengers and rehabilitation, scheduled caste and scheduled tribes atrocities amendment act 2015, and reservation related laws. Next, we have covered institutional safeguard for the scheduled caste. One is legal constitutional, next is institutional safeguards. Up next, we have covered what are the challenges faced by the scheduled caste. We have divided it into social challenge, political challenge, economic challenge, and crime against SC. We have covered in the social challenge discrimination, exclusion, education, political challenge underrepresentations, limited influence, political discriminations. In economic, there is poverty, unemployment, menial works. In the crime against atrocities, low conviction rate, delayed justice. We have covered everything. See, these points are very general points, as I already said. To get good marks, you have to add some facts, numerical data, some examples. You can quote some committee or commission report or some other reports of like with some authority, like normally World Bank, IMF, some reports that are locally given in India. Next, we have covered government schemes and initiatives for the welfare of scheduled caste. What are the government actions we have? You please go through these. There are 7-8 schemes we already given. Next, we have added one of the best practices for the manhole cleaning or the manual scavenging related. Kerala has first adopted a robotic technology. Next, what are the way forward that are what are the steps that can be taken to reduce challenges faced by the scheduled caste for the welfare of scheduled caste. Next, we have discussed one of the current topics, that is subcategorization in the SC and ST. We have taken a Supreme Court verdict related to that. What is the significance of the Supreme Court verdict, and also the challenges of subcategorizations. We have covered 3 points there. We have covered 2 points. These 3 points are already covered. The fourth and fifth, these points are covered in the previous page. Next, what are the way forwards? What are the steps that need to be taken so that to make sure that the purpose of subcategorization meets its objectives. Next, we'll discuss the topic of scheduled tribes. We have covered a definition of scheduled tribes. We are given a data related to the scheduled tribes, constitutional provision related to the STs, the legal provisions related to STs. Say we have followed a similar patterns: data, constitutional provisions, legal provisions, institutions for the welfare of scheduled tribe. And next, we have covered what are the challenges faced by the scheduled tribes. Again the same economic challenge, political, social, and crime against STs. Next, we have covered welfare schemes for the scheduled tribes. What are the already steps taken by the government? What are the way forward? What are the steps that can be taken to reduce atrocities against STs, or what are the steps that can be taken for the welfare of scheduled tribe. Next, we are given some important committees related to the ST, Kaka committee or Zagza committee, Nand Kumar Sai committee, and also Kartar Singh committee. Next, we are discussed related one of the important topics. It is one of the important topic, especially in the prelims, mains, even in the anthropology optional as well. The provisions related to the 5th and 6th schedule for the protection of tribes, 5th schedule areas, 6th schedule areas. We are given 5 provisions each. One of the very important topic, actually the very important topic, especially with related to the prelims, mains, and also the people who have anthropology optional will know that this topic is very important. Next, we have covered important topic of minor forest produce and what is the importance of minor forest produce with respect to the STs. Next, we have covered another important topic, the tribal subplans. We have covered a key provisions of the tribal subplan. Next, we have evaluated a tribal subplan. Yes, tribal subplan is, I think, from 2004, how it has performed. Like what is the performance of a tribal subplan evolution, and also we have covered a way forward, how tribal subplan can further be made efficient and effective with respect to the welfare of STs. Next, we have covered another important topic of FRA, that is Scheduled Tribes and Other Forest Dwellers Recognition of Forest Right Act 2006. We have given one pictorial diagram to represent it. Next, we are given another diagram to represent vicious cycle of discrimination faced by vulnerable sections. It's not only related to the SCs, STs, or any of the section LGBTQ+. It's a general point. Lack of education lead to lack of access to land, low paid, unorganized labor, discrimination faced, and negative attitude of health professionals, lack of health and nutrition, lack of opportunities, structural discrimination. How it happens? Same. Lack of education, lack of job opportunities, poverty, lack of health care, leading to lack of opportunity. Again, the lack of that, the vicious cycle. We have discussed that. Please go through that particular diagram. Next, we have discussed a tribal panchsheel introduced during the Jawaharlal Nehru in the 1952. We have discussed the key provisions of the tribal panchsheel, and also we have discussed what the welfare of SDG, welfare of the vulnerable sections meets few of the important to meet some of the sustainable development goals as well. So we have discussed that. Meet welfare of vulnerable sections helps to reduce poverty, zero hunger, good health, quality education, gender equality, reduced inequalities, etc. Next, we have discussed another important topic, that is of PVTG. PVTG characteristics, criteria for identifying PVTG, the data related to the PVTG, important topic for prelims and also the mains, both in the anthropology optionals and even in the GS. Next, we have discussed issues that are concerning the PVTGs and also the schemes for the welfare of PVTG, that is already taken. Development of PVTG schemes provides a targeted support for housing related, education, health and livelihood, conservation cum development plans, Pradhan Mantri Adi Adarsh Gram Yojana, support to the TRIs for PVTGs, Pradhan Mantri Janjati Adivasi Nyaya Maha Abhiyan. So these are the schemes related to the PVTG. In this, we have discussed the topic of vulnerable sections, the topic of social justice and its important, the SCs, all the topic like mainly the challenges faced, constitutional provision, legal provisions, the schemes that are related to the SCs, and what are the steps need to be taken way forward. Another similar way we will discuss the ST. So we will provide a link to our Telegram group in the descriptions. Please join our Telegram group to access this PDF. We will provide PDF for all the notes for all the GS topics from GS1 to GS4 for free. You can get that for free. Please press the bell button. Whenever we upload a new video, you will get a notification. Thank you.